Welcome to the Nuclear Snail channel! So, today we're gonna talk about more mistakes post-apocalyptic beginners and advanced crafters make, because you guys just love it so much when I'm telling you where you're wrong. So here goes video number 3 of the Common Mistakes series. Mistake number 1. Judging a piece that you've made, judging its quality by effort spent. Now, this doesn't apply just to post-apocalyptic costuming, it applies to anything in life, really. We think that just because you usually have to work hard to get something good, that hard work automatically grants you a good result. So what I see in a lot of beginners, or even not complete beginners, but even intermediate crafters, is that they will go ahead and craft for weeks, create something that is meh, and then they will just develop this false protective sense of that piece. Oh, I've spent so much time and effort, I've cut myself when making this, this took me so long, and so on and so forth. I even spent 800 euros getting all the original components for it, blah blah blah, and so on and so forth. Understand that you are not the same thing as your piece. You need to disconnect yourself from what you're making, and you need to look at it with the eyes of someone else, with the eyes of someone who did not spend all this time, energy, money, whatever have you, on creating this. That's the only thing to see it objectively and to analyze it and to see, is it actually good? Which direction does it need to go? A good tactic for this is, when you've spent a lot of time on something, just give it a break. Don't look at it for 2 days. Don't think about it, and then look at it again. Just look at it while mentally disconnecting yourself from it. Imagine someone else you don't know made this, not you. And then you will be able to analyze it objectively, and then you will be able to improve upon it if it's not as good as it should be. So that would be the point number 1. Point number 2 is kind of a combination point. First part of it is putting off starting a piece because you don't have perfect components for it. Don't do that. Simple as that. You will never have all the perfect components for your piece in place. I've never had that. So you just start with what you have. Obviously, it helps getting good components. I have a video about that, where to get stuff for crafting and so on and so forth. It helps to plan ahead and all of that, but some people are just stuck forever in preparation and waiting for that perfect clutch plate for their chest armor or whatever. Look, you just don't need to wait for the perfect components, just start. That said, oftentimes you do have a lot more components, even if not perfect, and even if not all of them, you just don't know it yet. Because you also, here's the second part of this, need to stop seeing pants as pants, jackets as jackets, and so on and so forth. So for example, here, this hood right here that I've attached to that leather jacket is made from the butt parts from my old skater pants. And not only does it work, it also creates more conversation, because now you're like, he said butt. It's a good thing when you start seeing things not just with their name that was given to them, so pants are pants, but start seeing them with the improvising person's eye. I think I kind of mentioned this point already, but it kind of goes hand in hand with not waiting for the perfect components. Next one. Overloading and never being done with your piece, because you think that you just need to pack it with as much stuff as possible. So I also touched on this in my first mistakes video under the aspect of too much detail or putting too much stuff onto it. So what I mean now is kind of a bit different story though. So it's not about the visuals of it as much as it is about that you sometimes get the feeling that, oh, I saw such pieces that were full of detail, and they were so full of detail, I need to pack my piece full of detail no matter what. And even assuming you could pack it full of detail in a way that looks good, you still need to ask yourself, do I want to? Is it the kind of piece I'm going for this time? Because just because you can do something, and even if you can execute it well already, doesn't mean you have to. I'm a bit guilty of it myself. Like, I'm finding a bit of a hard time doing more minimalistic pieces, which I'm not saying everyone should be doing every time. But oftentimes I find myself thinking like, does this need another decal? Does this need another decoration right here? And oftentimes the answer is no. It's oftentimes good to leave some areas very basic. So just every time you create a piece, think consciously about what level of detail you want to have there. And just because you saw something somewhere and because you yourself usually make something with a shitload of detail doesn't mean you need to do this every time. This usually happens for advanced crafters, or intermediate crafters, better to say. Next point. Now this one is gonna kind of sting, and I hope it does, because once it stings, it will make you better. So here goes. Stop having such low standards. Okay? So I've posted this, and I've also posted this, and a lot of people were like, what's wrong with it? It's okay. No! It's not okay! It looks horrible. Okay, admittedly the shoulder work right here on the arm and the arm work is not that super horrible. But the total experience, the total thing it's just gross. I can't understand how anyone on earth would look at this and go like, yeah, that's professional quality. I was posting this ironically. Elliot and me were exchanging the worst works we could come up with. And still a lot of people were like, that's okay. Now, here's the point. And again, I said it's gonna sting. And here it comes. The reason why some of you think that's okay is because you yourself have not created something that's better, or at least a lot better, yet. And that's fine. Here's the thing. What is at work here in your brain is a protective mechanism, where you go like, okay, I'm seeing this right now, this costume is... I mean, people perceive art subconsciously, so somewhere deep in your brain you know this is not really good. This does not really look that sharp. But another part of your brain is telling you, if you find this not good, if you criticize this, consider what you yourself have achieved. And that part of your brain is gonna tell you, no, you better think that this is okay. You better think that this is fine, because your own works look like this, or maybe even worse. So you have to be fine. So that's a part of your brain that's trying to protect your ego. That is trying to protect you from being mentally hurt by the realization that, hey, you could be a lot better, but you aren't yet. And here is where it makes it better after stinging you. Realize that you can get a lot better. You can be a lot better than this. You can be a lot better than you are now. You can be a lot better than the most of the works you see. If you just stay on target, and especially if you have a target, if you have a goal, if you have a standard, you need a high standard to strive for. You don't need an excuse why you are okay, because you are okay. Alright, we're all doing this as a hobby, at least the most of us. So there is no person, no God, no entity that you need to prove yourself to. And by all this, I do not mean that, like, no one cares how a beginner looks. You can come with a dirty shirt and dirty pants and that's it, and everyone will accept you. Because it's your first time costume. Like, what I'm saying is not to confuse with, hey, you need to be good, otherwise you suck. No. It's okay if your costume is not great right off the bat, but for your journey developing your costuming skills, you need to set a high goal. Otherwise, it's the same thing as going to the gym thinking like, I'm gonna lose 3 kilograms of fat and gain 1 kilogram of muscle and then I'm done. That's what a lot of you are doing with costuming. You're at the very start, you just want to get somewhere. Please just give me some muscle gains, just a bit. Please just let me make a costume that is somewhat acceptable. That's your first goal. And you know what? All of the people I know, every single one of them, in any area in life that is successful, sets high goals and high standards for themselves. Again, that is not to confuse with expecting yourself to be good right off the bat. You will suck at the start, and that's okay, and that's acceptable, and people will accept it as long as they see you're doing something, you're trying to you know, make a basic costume at least. But just subconsciously going like, yeah, okay, I just want like a mediocre costume. I mean, you might not be even realizing it, that your own brain is sabotaging your goal setting in this regard. You look at my costumes, you look at Wasteland Pirate costumes, you look at someone else's costumes, and you're like, whoa, I'm not never gonna achieve that. Well, even if not, still set that as your goal. Set something beyond that as your goal. You know what my end goal is? There is fucking none. I want to get as good as possible. So, stop sabotaging your own personal growth, your artistic growth and everything by setting goals that are too low. This is not good. Alright, get a bit heated here. I just hate it when people waste their potential, and you have potential. Use it! Next point, for intermediate to advanced crafters. And that mistake is not experimenting and not developing your own style, and also not varying and exploring new styles. I'm very guilty of this myself. A lot of my works have kind of the same style, and on the one thing it's cool because then someone looks at the works, and if they know the post-apocalyptic scene, they're like, yeah, that's Nuclear Snail. But what I've found myself not doing, because I was busy with other things mostly over the last couple of years, I found myself not exploring new styles which don't look like me at all. For an advanced crafter, it is something very important to explore new styles, maybe incorporate some of those new styles elements into your own style, mix things up a bit, or just do something else entirely. Some other style, or just come up with another style that is also kind of your style, if you know what I mean. So again, Wasteland Pirate is a great example of this. When he started off, his stuff looked a lot like mine all the time, which is okay, because I mean, I'm showing all this stuff to you and I have this channel and all. I don't mind if people's stuff has the same style as mine. But now he's starting to get to a point where his newer works have their own unique style, and that's awesome. So that is something that I would like to invite all the intermediate and advanced crafters to do. Instead of just following one school of design or one particular style or whatever, whichever it might be it your own if you're really advanced, or be it someone else's, or a mix of those, just explore some new styles. What I also wanted to do, for example, whenever I get around to it, Alexander Pringle, the guy who makes all of those cool tire-only armors. I've never made an armor out of tire only, and that's cool. I want to try that. So explore, experiment, find your own style, incorporate all the things that you like. Do not feel bound by any standards or any existing styles. So I hope, my friends, that this video was useful to you. I hope it kicks your butt in the right places. Share it with your crafting groups and tribes. Subscribe to the channel. Also, since I'm making almost no money at all from YouTube, consider supporting me on Patreon. It's the first link in the video description. The second link is gonna be to Wasteland Pirate. So I will see you in the next time. Until then, hail the snail.